on Live Talk 99.5. Let's do this thing. We're going to run through the ballot. Let me get caught up on some headlines. A weird twist in this thing out in San Diego. If you haven't been listening today, there was some kind of shooting. It was called an active shooter, which is going to be the case when it's uncontained. It was near a Muslim Islamic center in San Diego. 3 adults were killed in the shooting, and they say there were 2 shooters, and the 2 shooters are deceased. But now we're getting word that the 2 shooters were teenagers, and we don't know what that means in light of everything that's going on in the world today. And there's some reports that the teenagers may have killed themselves. So it's a little confusing. These things are always going to be, there's a lot of information that's going to be unverified and then maybe proven to be a little bit of a twist or different, but we don't know at all what this means, anything about motive, opportunity, whether this was personal or whether the center itself was targeted randomly or because of the Islamic faith. The FBI is on the scene, huge police response. And so we'll continue to track leads on it. They've already had a big news conference just as we were going to the Jay Mitchell interview. So we've been busy today, but been super busy. The other big lead story, sort of spot story today, has been a massive wildfires broken out in Simi Valley, California. Several hundred acres have already burned, lots of structures, mass evacuations. And the Reagan Library is really in the zone of this fire. They've had to evacuate the library. And that could just be caution because there have been fires very near the library in the recent past. That can actually be a good sign that there's less fuel to threaten the library. It survived the last fire like this. And I can't help but note that this fire is an interesting backdrop considering the big LA mayor's race, which is really centered on the failures of the current mayor surrounding fire preparation and reaction to the Palisades fire. That race has gotten national attention mainly because of the Mayor Bass's opponent in that race, the Spencer Pratt character. Crazy times. We'll be following all these things this afternoon. Alabama Bass bringing you the show tonight. That's John and the team over there ready to help you make your house more lovable, more usable, less dangerous. The bathroom is a slippery place. It's the place of a lot of home accidents. It can be tied, and sometimes the kitchen can be seen as more dangerous, but it kind of goes between kitchen fires and then bathroom slip and falls. And it's one of those things that you can easily correct if you're living alone or you just don't like a slippery tub, or maybe one of your family members, even not even an elderly family member, but someone's got a disability, makes it harder to get that part of the day done. Alabama Bath can improve that situation in less than 2 days. Their systems are beautiful. They are slip proof, and it's just a wonderful group of people. The company's been around over 40 years, and I always stick some little side notes in there. My man John over there has he's a veteran, and he gets that there are veterans programs that could absolutely pay for this improvement on your home. Just depends on if you qualify, and that qualification can take a minute. It's the government, so you got to go through all the hoops. They'll hold your hand through the hoops. They'll work with you and be patient with you. Some of these big corporate schmucks are not going to do that. They just want to close business. These guys will take all the time you need to make sure you get your home improved. They're just good like that, and that's how you stay around for 40-plus years. It's alabamabass.com, alabamabass.com. Well, it's been a day of interviews and breaking news, and now we got to do this appointment that I do before each election. A little backstory on it. I don't generally endorse candidates. I quit doing that years ago. One, I don't want to tie myself to these people. They're liable to do anything. I've been burned by so many of them. Secondly, I don't want to advocate. I don't want to turn the show over to that. If I pick a side in a campaign, then everything that I would say about a race is clouded by that. But I do think it's fair to be honest with the audience about how I vote. People seem to want to know. A lady called in one year when I just decided I'm not going to get in this endorsement thing and shilling for these people. We got to hold them accountable. And the lady said, well, who are you going to vote for anyway? So I thought, well, that's fair enough. So what we started doing years ago, just to keep me having to go over it and over it and over it and be boring about it, is just have an appointment And particularly, a lot of folks want to know about any amendments that pop up. And we've got a couple on this ballot that are surprises. I'm always surprised when they put these things on primary ballots. But so I'm going to walk through the very basics of this ballot. I've got my ballot pulled. There'll be candidates on there because I'm in Shelby County that won't be in some of your counties. So we'll probably stop off right there. I'll go through how I'm thinking about some of these races and a little bit of reasoning on it. Again, you make your own mind up. If y'all want to call about that too, let me know who you're for. Fine. I do think this is going to be a super low turnout election. We just don't have that marquee race going on with a tight governor's race or competitive governor's race, and or Trump's not on the ballot. It's not a presidential year. The Senate race is one of the larger of the races that are statewide, and it's been relatively low key. Now it's starting to break. The folks that were associated with Jared Hudson have sent me a poll this afternoon that shows him in the lead. Wouldn't surprise me, but I'm not going to go with that yet because that's a Jared Hudson oriented poll. I'll look for this afternoon any other fresh polling in that race. I will tell you, he has had the best trajectory because what you want to be doing is climbing, and you got to do it at a pace and a speed that can get you there by election day. The target for all of these candidates is to get into a runoff. I don't think any of them believe they have the strength to win outright. You always got to get up every day and eat your eggs and tell yourself that. You spray your pits and eat your grits, and you sit there and look in the mirror and go, I can do this, because it's hard. I mean, it gets exhausting by this time of the year. But in the real world, it seems as if this is going to be a two-person runoff in a few weeks. And right now, I would guess it's going to come down to Hudson and Barry Moore. Had Barry Moore on the show earlier, had Hudson on in days past. Fun race. But that's sort of one of the more national-oriented races being statewide. But it also, because these guys have not really gone after each other too hard, hasn't had much fire in it. And then, of course, we had Jay Mitchell in that AG race has been the most adverse, shall we say. But I don't even know that that's got enough fire to get people out to the polls. And it's competing with a lot of stuff this time of year. So we'll see what they say about the turnout models tomorrow. Now, I feel like Casey Kasem, AJ. Now, on with the countdown. I miss him. Did you ever listen to Casey Kasem's? Casey Kasem's? Also the voice of Scooby-Doo.
And what was that penguin? I can't think of the penguin.
The penguin?
Yeah. What? It was during all those times.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah. It's one of those cartoons. I can't remember the cartoon.
Like on Batman?
No. This was like he was a part of like the whole Bullwinkle and Rocky and
man, I don't know.
Droopy the dog.
I was just talking about the America's Top 40, which they replay. They still replay on some channels.
They do.
They'll replay the one for this week 40 years ago.
I wish I had his voice though.
Oh yeah, I'm Casey Kasem. Keep your feet on the ground. Remember what he'd say at the end? And keep reaching for the stars.
Reaching for the stars.
Nowadays, advice would be completely different. Assert your pronouns and be your personal best. Be all you can be. Be true to yourself. All this therapeutic nonsense. Don't cut a brother today. Anyway, all right, we squirreled. Okay, here we go. Had to try to have some fun. We've been so dang serious today, the whole show. Let's start at the top. By the way, I've got a Shelby County ballot, and let me point you to one other place, and I'll refer to this and read you their guidance. The Alabama Policy Institute is an impeccable place to get raw, white paper, conservative policy approaches. I worked for them years and years ago. They were under a different name. Stephanie Smith runs the joint, unless something's changed in the last few weeks. I reached out to her and said, send me your amendment guidance, and I will send folks to you. So, again, it's the Alabama Policy Institute, and if you Google them, you'll find them. But it's alabamapolicy.org. I'm sure you can navigate your way to their guidance on the amendments. I don't think they do it on the persons running against each other, but they will give amendment guidance. And they always do that. So even if you're not tuning in here to hear what I think, reach out to them and just read what they think and consider all that when you go to the polls. All right, so we'll go down. We'll start with governor. Of course, I'm going to vote for Tuberville. There are a couple other guys running. Lieutenant governor is interesting to me. It's crowded and weird. and it's just strange. I haven't decided for sure, but the candidates that are most interested in me are Stuart Tankersley because sort of know him from around. Just got to talk to him the other day, and Wes Allen. Wes Allen's a sharp young man. I think he's done a good job as Secretary of State, trying to he's termed out, looking for that next statewide office. I think he's a pretty good dude. I don't know the rest of these guys. Pat Bishop, I hear great things. So I've got some thinking to do on that one. I'm not really prepared yet. I'll decide in the morning. Um, but those are the candidates I'm considering: Tankersley, Wes, and maybe Pat Bishop. And then we go down to the Senate race, and it's crowded. You hear about the top three, of course. We had Barry Moore on and Jared Hudson and our Attorney General. By the way, I've got multiple sets of polls, and I don't base my vote on the polls. I don't care. I vote based on just my own standards, and it can change depending on who's running. If I know the candidate, sometimes I'm all in on that candidate just because I have personal knowledge of them and I know them to be of good character. And let's be honest, I'm going to be just brutally honest. All three of these top people in that race are going to vote the same way when they get to the Senate, period. Now, their personality differences and their ability to get along with other senators, there won't be a dime's worth of difference in their votes. The way the Senate is composed nowadays, same thing for Katie Britt. She's going to vote. She's going to vote every single way she has to vote. They have to vote lockstep with it being so tight. So there's not going to be any real huge fundamental difference. And they're all three competent guys. I think Hudson has really impressed me with his political acumen as he is sort of new to the job. Steve Marshall been around for a while. I think he's done a pretty decent job as Attorney General. And then, of course, you've got Barry Moore, who I didn't know much about, but he did a pretty good job today on his interview. But I'm voting for Jared Hudson. I'd be comfortable with all three of these guys. I do think the runoff may come down to Hudson and Moore. It just seems that way based on any data I've got available to me, with Moore having the Trump endorsement, which has kept him out front, and Hudson's got the best momentum of all three of them. And now there's Morgan Murphy. You're going to see the Morgan Murphy name on the ballot. He's not on the ballot. He dropped out of the race, but the probate judges continued to print these ballots with his name on it. This guy's wanting to run for Congress if they redraw the districts, but so far they're not planning on redrawing the districts. That would help him show back up. There's somebody named Rodney Walker. Don't know anything about him, nor Dale Shelton Deals or Seth Burton. It looks crowded. I do think we're heading into the runoff just by a factor of math. These other guys that don't have as much visibility will pick up votes. It's just that way. Some people go down filling in bubbles. Case Dixon and Gary Palmer. Case is on his way in. I'm going to interview him this afternoon. Gary's my lifelong friend. I've known Gary for 35 years. And I've pressed him on, overstaying, and he owns it, overstaying his commitment to not terminate. What's the word I'm looking for? He didn't self-deport. He said he was going to get in the transfer portal. What am I looking for? The transfer portal, term limit himself. He's hanging in there because he's in sort of the senior levels nowadays, especially with the policy stuff. Gary's my friend. I'm voting for Gary. Then we got Pam Casey, Jay Mitchell, Catherine Robinson. It's very rare for me to have this many candidates that I have a personal knowledge of on a ballot, but they've all stepped up. Jay was just in. I've talked about my relationship with Jay going way back. Here's why I'm voting for Jay. It's not only that I like the guy. I've always liked him. It's mainly because his mama listens to the show, AJ. She's a huge fan of yours, and that's it. It's because his mom. I'm kidding.
It's all about mama.
Jay and AJ and I and all of us here on the team got to know each other during some litigation 10 years ago. It's just some frivolous stuff that's part of ongoing business in our industry. And I found Jay to be extremely competent, very assertive. I really liked his style in all the depositions as we just slam dunked that case all over the place. And even when you've got the upper hand and you got the best attorneys, those things grind on. That thing ground on for like 2 or 3 years. So Jay knew his way around the building. He told me that when he got here. He knew where the coffee machine was. He's been up here with us a few times in that case. And I got to know him, so I'm voting for him. Catherine Robinson has come across well. I think she's run an effective campaign. I think she'll do well tomorrow. It's hard to know. Huge undecided in that race going into Election Day based on everything that is before me. Caroline Dobson, Christopher Horn, and Glenda Jackson are all running for Secretary of State. Low level office, most people ignore. Huge responsibilities, mainly with administering the elections and keeping some state databases. So it's an interesting race. I haven't totally decided. This may be one where I lean on my wife because I think she knows Caroline and quiz her. Plus, sometimes I do let her tell me what to do. I just should defer to her. I hope she's listening.
Maybe on this one, yeah.
Either that or I'll wash the dishes. I need brownie points. So, but no, I think I've got to go with somebody that gives me a reference in these cases of these lesser known candidates. But she ran for Congress before and did not even make the cut. So here we are. That was in the newly drawn districts in South Alabama. Young Boozer running for state treasurer. I mean, you got to keep him on for his name alone. We had him on the show.
Young Boozer.
Young Boozer. Remember that ad he ran years ago? Young Boozer. I asked him how he got that name, and he never told me. That's one of those Mountain Brook sounding names, too. Like two last names.
Right.
Well, his mother was a Young.
And his daddy was a boozer.
His daddy was a boozer. I'm voting for him. Derek Chin and Andrew Sorrell, state auditor. That's a useless office that needs to be abolished, period. It's where a lot of first-timers will jump in. I've met Derek Chin, pleasant young man, hilarious campaigns he's run. Andrew Sorrell is friends of friends. I actually got invited to an event when he first jumped in the race. In fact, I think he was running for Secretary of State at the time, and he dropped out and decided to run for this. So I'm still sort of deciding, but I liked Andrew when I met him. He's just the right kind of a gregarious, I would call him a gregarious nerd, a great business background, great entrepreneurial background. So I'm leaning toward Andrew for my vote there. And I'm going to stop. You know, there's agriculture commissioner. Y'all just make up your mind on that. And then we get into the PSC races. I don't know. I know Matt Gentry a little bit and Jeremy Oden. I could never vote for him because of that ad. Remember the ad he ran a while back where it had 19 gunshots in it, gave everybody PTSD, where he just shot a gun over and over. It was like, he's running for PSC. What the hell? It's like when Twinkle ran and she wound up running on abortion. I was like, it's the PSC. We're going to pull the electricity out of the abortion plants? And this guy was running for PSC. He's like, I'm Jeremy Oden. Blam, blam. What was he? He had some gun-toting Odom or something. I was like, that's just too dumb for me.
I remember that ad.
I just can't get over that. I also noticed they don't show the incumbents on these ballots. And then there's this other PSC place that's fascinating to me. And I don't know any of these characters except Jim Ziegler. Now, I got to take a break. I'll leave you in suspense. We'll go through the Jim Ziegler, and then I'll talk about these amendments after this. Stay tuned. Man, I gotta go so fast. This whole show, I've been running out of time since I got here. Y'all, it was good to see the Thompsons with Alan and company. They came out to Jawbone Jam. My whole family showed up. I wish I'd spent a little more time being able to talk to them, but we were kind of covered up and it was loud and a whole lot of fun. Look, this is a wonderful group of people. They just are the sweetest people. Family business, two generations. They love, sometimes three generations in there. They love what they do. They want you to be happy. They are not pushy, and their stuff is just as beautiful as anything you're going to find anywhere in town. Alan is a master jeweler, and there's just zero pressure. Some of these chain places have these tactics, these sales tactics they'll put on you when you walk in the door. Don't do that. Just go meet the Thompsons. You'll have a personal jeweler for even the maintenance and the purchases, all the repairs and cleanings and stuff. It's good to have a place like that, a hometown place. Allen and Company in Vestavia, Allen and Company. All right, I got to go fast. Um, our buddy Dixon, what's his name? That he's on his way in. He's stuck in traffic. Hey Joe, we'll get him in here when we get him in here. All right, where was I? I was in the PSC race. I used to really get annoyed with Jim Ziegler on a regular basis. Actually, years and years ago, I threw him out of the Republican Party office because he was getting on my nerves. I threw him out, AJ. I was on the air. I have an old air check from being on the radio one time because this guy used to file lawsuits all over the place. And the quote was, AJ, I said, this guy would sue his mama if she took his place in the parking lot. And he was lawsuit heavy. So I've given him a hard time over the years. But I'm going to tell you, he is my kind of pain in the butt. He is nutty as a squirrel turd, and I love it. He's my kind of squirrel turd. I'm voting for Jim Ziegler for the PSC because somebody needs to get in there and raise hell and keep an eye on things. And these other establishment schmucks are going to do what the power company tells them to. Jim Ziegler will be a turd in the punch bowl at the PSC. I'm voting for Jim Ziegler. I'm just saying. We need the hell raisers in government. He's a hell raiser. Good for him. Back in a minute. Tell them what a day. I am so behind. Let me play a little bit of catch up. And then I gotta do these two amendments, and that we'll be done with the ballot. Case Dixon, running for the sixth district, has just showed up in the parking lot. He was stuck in some traffic. AJ's going to fetch him. We'll get him in here this afternoon as well. First up, though, Southern Skies, Birmingham Broker bringing you the show tonight. BHAMBroker.com. We were just right down there this weekend with the Jawbone Jam, and it's just a cool little funky corner down there. We've got so many advertisers near each other and good folks, good partners of the station down there. Anytime I ride past Birmingham Broker, I got to look over at the lot and see what they got. And sometimes I'll pop in just to see what they got on the car racks where they got the cars stacked up. They keep some really interesting stuff in there because Craig and his business and Keith, those guys, they handle high-end deals for folks that have big, fancy, collectible cars and supercars. These folks don't advertise their car in the newspaper. They just let Craig handle it. They got people for that, and they get top dollar because he knows how to move vehicles. Years ago, they took that model and said, let's apply it to regular folks. And that's where Birmingham Broker came from. So people that have Toyotas and Fords can sell their cars this way as well. You get a retail price, not a wholesale price, and you'll love getting to know Craig and Keith. And you'll get the right price on it to begin with. That's one of the harder things nowadays is pricing the vehicle because it can move. It can vary. It can vary in different markets, and they know where the car is hot and where the car will sell. It's Birmingham Broker, BHAMBroker.com, BHAMBroker.com. All right, two more parts to the ballot. I'm going to skip the county stuff because if you're in Jefferson County, your ballot looks different than mine. I'm in Shelby County. If you're in Chilton County, your ballot's different than ours. You're on your own with that. There are two amendments that they snuck in here. They don't seem threatening, and they seem pretty self-descriptive. One is Amendment 1. And it allows it adds offenses to the list of offenses for which a judge can deny bail, which seems a tough on crime measure. That would be shooting or discharging a firearm into an occupied dwelling or other occupied space, and it shows the code section that would be violated. Bail laws have been loosened all over the country by left-wing judges. And this is an opportunity to tighten that under certain crimes. And to do that in the state of Alabama, you have to actually change the list of offenses in the Constitution that can be eligible for no bail. So this is a keep them locked up scenario. And anybody that's going to do a drive-by shooting, it's a tool that officers and police and prosecutors say they need. Sometimes you'll have a bunch of thugs shoot into a house. Nobody gets hurt. So they don't become eligible for bail reduction or no bail, that is. But just shooting into a dwelling for that reason in terroristic fashion would make you eligible for no bail. I think it's a good tool. I'll probably vote yes on that, unless I find out to the contrary, which even the Policy Institute, they break this stuff down matter-of-factly. They describe it just as that. It either adds this, or if you vote no, the list of no bail crimes would be the same. The other one is odd, and I don't know where this came from, don't know much of the history of it, but it makes it so that the compensation of a district attorney cannot be diminished during their term in office. I don't know where that's been attempted. I could see how some of these woke DAs may be eligible to have their pay reduced. I don't know why this is even on the ballot. So I'm going to study this a little more. I may talk to you all about it tomorrow. But I tend to be a no on it. Because I don't know why in the hell we need extra protection for these DAs who's trying to cut their salary. I don't know. There is politics, though, and you want your DAs to be independent, and we should strive for that here in Alabama. All right, that's going to do it. That's my ballot wrap. If y'all got any other questions, I'll take them later. Right now, I want to give Case Dixon some fair opportunity. Case, you're running for Congress against Gary Palmer. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Who are you?
I am a lifelong Alabamian. I'm a young father of 2 young kids. My wife and I, we've been married.
You're like
just over
my
3
son's
years.
age. How old are you?
I'm 26.
Okay, you're younger than them. I feel so old.
How's your son?
My sons are in their 30s, man. They're in their low 30s,
Okay.
like 33, 34. What do you do for a living?
I work full time as a home health physical therapist assistant.
Okay. What made you want to do this?
Really, my kids.
Yeah.
I think like a lot of people during
Tell
COVID.
me about your kids real quick.
Sure.
Ages, all that.
Yeah, I've got a 2-year-old daughter, Sadie,
Yeah.
and a 10-month-old daughter, Indy.
Oh, wow. You're in the zone. How
Mhm.
tired are you?
You know, I can get tired sometimes.
All right. So you decided to jump in against an incumbent. Tell me why.
Yeah, so I think like a lot of people, I was pretty dissatisfied with the way government handled things during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yep.
But at that time, I was in school and wasn't married, hadn't graduated yet. And I'd always voted, but I think during that time period, it really made me recognize the importance of getting involved. I guess the implications of the wrong people being in power. And so then fast forward to my kids being born, I think it brought out those same feelings. I was in a more stable place in life, married, home, kids, things like that. So then, you know, my biggest concern and the thing that I'm running on is really the national debt and how it relates to affordability and prices.
Yep.
And so that bringing it back home to my kids is, you know, I'm worried about how my kids are going to be able to afford a home and get married and start living life. And so I feel like if I'm not willing to fight for their future, who will?
Your generation's been really hit much harder than some with the affordability issue. They've fixed the price model, and some of that's government, some of that's big corporations buying up things. It's markets, it's irresponsibility of COVID spending. But you guys have been priced out of what used to be easily a couple with a couple of kids could buy a house, and it's beyond reach.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, we've been very blessed with what I do for work, but I mean, for example, I have probably 1/3 of the home that my parents have when you count acreage and square feet and stuff like that. And yet we pay the same mortgage payment with 1/3 of the house. That was maybe 12 years difference.
Just a difference in interest rates, I suppose.
Not just,
And purchasability, yeah.
inflation as well. I mean, but yeah, interest rate, they obviously refinance when everything
What can
dropped
Congress
down.
do about that?
Well, there's several things. I think number one, we just have to work to get government out of the private industries. And I think that's, anything the government touches gets more expensive, whether it's healthcare, housing, I mean, you name it. And so I think really fighting back against those Washington dictates that really make things drive up in price.
I was not probably even as conservative as you at 26. What led you down the path to choose this way of politically thinking?
I would say first and foremost, my parents. They really instilled it in me. I was homeschooled growing up.
Where'd you grow up?
Maline, Alabama.
Okay. Yeah.
They're over there in Shelby County.
Yeah.
But being homeschooled growing up, being around my parents a good bit, heavily involved in church, I would say that was the main thing that shaped my views on life, and then obviously carried over into political views as well.
How would you handle the balance of being a young father and having to be back and forth to D.C.? It's very demanding.
No doubt it's hard. I think you have to rely on your faith and rely on God to provide you the strength to supply your relationship, and because first and foremost you have to make sure that your marriage is solid. So I think you really have to fall back on God, and it's a three-way relationship there with God in the middle. So
Look, I'd have to be fair to say the odds are against you. Gary's a 6th term, going for his 7th term incumbent. People know his name. But I like that young people are out there. I like that our Republicans are getting challenged. They need to keep their pencil sharp. So I'm glad you're in the race. Would you continue to run for other things if it doesn't work out for you tomorrow night? Are you still interested in being in office down the road?
I think I would. I'm not going to say I have my eyes set on any specific position moving forward. I'm definitely not going to disappear. I think you see that from a lot of people where they run for office, they're not successful, and then they disappear. And my reasoning is still the same: win or lose, my kids' future's at stake. And so whether it's in elected office or behind the scenes working with the party or other coalitions, I think it's important to stay involved.
What else do we need to know about you?
Well, I think that, like I said, you may disagree. I know that you're close friends with Congressman Palmer, and several folks across Alabama may disagree, but I feel just the policies that we're putting forward in regards to affordability are not addressing it. And so I would say that my opponent ignores the affordability crisis, and I won't.
Well, specific to Gary, though, what particular policies of his or votes of his would you disagree with?
I think too often you see that when leadership says, hey, we actually need to get this across the finish line, even if it's not the most conservative thing, that he tends to fall in line, whether that's FISA whether that's a debt ceiling increase or whether that's an omnibus spending bill. And I'm not saying that he does that at every turn. I mean, there's much worse people than him, but I think that we need folks that are willing to stand up to leadership, and I'm not saying
So,
that.
like, you have Thomas Massey who does that quite a bit in Kentucky. He's about to probably get beat tomorrow. Do you think it's because he doesn't go with the flow because he's on the outs with a lot of the party regulars? Is there a time to not really, I guess, compromise? Is there a time to be agreeable and a time not to be agreeable, or are you just always going to stick to the philosophy?
I think there is a time and place. Now, whenever we're talking about constitutional things, talking about FISA, Representative Massey actually had a quote. He said, "A short-term infringement of the Constitution and your rights is still an infringement of the Constitution and your rights." So when it relates to our rights, I don't think you can compromise. On other things, we've seen what kicking the can down the road does for us. That's why we've got $39 trillion in debt. So on the spending, it would take a lot to convince me to compromise on certain things. I think right now is the time to really stand our ground, because if you have 4 or 5 folks, they can negotiate. I think leadership would be willing to negotiate, because if they're holding up a bill that says, "Hey, we'll vote for this if you take out these bad provisions," I think that we could actually see some things get accomplished like that.
Well, look, I admire your tenacity, and I'm glad young folks like you drag others your age with you. I think having kids and getting out in the real world does that to you. What's the old saying? If you're not liberal when you're young, you have no heart. If you're not conservative when you're older, you have no brain. You're in the you're in the brain part now. I don't know. I mean, you were raised with those values, but a lot of kids in your generation are coming along and seeing um, this reality, and we need a whole nother generation is going to have to get engaged. Guys my age are tired. We're done. We've done enough, but I'm glad you're involved, and I hope you stay involved.
Well, I appreciate that. And to your point, I do think it's important that we have a diverse Congress. I don't think that Congress should be full of 26-year-olds by any means, but it's important to have that viewpoint in there.
All right, man. Well, good to meet you, Case.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you fighting
Thanks
traffic.
for having me. I
and,
appreciate it.
Good luck tomorrow night, and we'll see you down the road.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Case Dixon running for the. Oh, by the way, one more question. We got to do this again in August. Are you going to get back on the ballot, depending on how it comes out tomorrow night? Either way.
I intend to. I do.
Okay, so you'll be back, and so we get a redo in August, which is the craziest thing.
Yeah, it really is. I
Yeah.
think this is historical.
Yep, it is. Distinctive Pools bringing you a show. If you got some little kids like Case over here, or my grandkids, boy, you can be a hero. You can be a hero. A lot of people will consider it for those very same reasons: the family time, the memories, having a hangout place at your home, but just never do it for 3 or 4 years. It's a big decision. Look, reach out to Distinctive and do your due diligence. Let them show you what's possible, what the budget is, help you get financed, maybe get a design you can get excited about. Next thing you know, the best pool builder in the state of Alabama is out there digging a big hole in your yard. They just really are. Hardscapes and the pool itself. It's distinctivepools.com, distinctivepools.com. Man, good Lord, what a show we've had today with the breaking stories, the spot stories, all these guests, the ballot review, everything that's going on for tomorrow. Tomorrow's election day. There's always a big lull on election day after all the ads are done. I can't wait for the ads to be done. I'm just exhausted with it. All American Metals bringing you the show tonight. If y'all need a metal building, a steel building, a shed, a commercial project, any of these things, it's so nice to have All American Metals as an option. Years ago, I did my own building. I was just talking to a neighbor about that today, and had to just get rid of everybody that was helping me with it and kind of start over a couple times in the middle of the process. Things weren't going like I planned because I was doing it sort of a piece at a time. All American is fully integrated. They can help you design it. Then when you're ready, they'll help you with all your drawings that can help you get financed and get your zoning approvals. And then, of course, your financing, if, like we said, if all that's necessary. And then, of course, when you're ready, they'll produce the whole building. They have their own factories right here in the Bessemer Hueytown area. They're going to produce that framing. They're going to make those components and deliver them on their trucks. They can even get you lined up with contractors that work with them that know how these things go up and make it happen, go vertical more quickly with a durable steel building built right here in Alabama with All American Metals. 2 generations of metal steel men walking these beams and putting these buildings up since the 60s, and they know their stuff. And here's the best part for us. Price is better, the turnaround's quicker, the quality's better, and they're right here. They have so much off-the-shelf stuff. If something's missing in your kit, they'll get it quickly. They're going to manage that whole thing and make it right for you. It's All American Metals. Again, price is better, turnaround's better, you get custom work, and you're working with your neighbors. AA-metal.com, AA-metal.com. Let's get Don in here on a cell phone, and then I'll run through a couple other things with y'all. Don, what's up?
Hey, Leland. Hey, of course, I'm driving to Memphis as usual, but just got a text it looks like it's from Steve Marshall attacking Jared Hudson, and he said he's against President Trump backing the rule allowing Democrats to block the Save America Act. And he said, you can't trust Jared Hudson. So it's like, I love these ads. Like, yeah. So thought you'd like to know that one and talk to Jared tomorrow. Let him have fun with that one.
Yeah, it's that sounds vague. I don't know what he's talking about, but sometimes these negative attacks this late are they're falling on exhausted ears. The public's heard them enough, and we're just all ready to go vote now. So, but I don't even know.
Totally agree.
About. Yep.
And Gary and Palmer, I love Gary Palmer. I've known him also for about as long as you have. When he was with, before it was named Alabama Policy Institute, it was named something else.
The Family Alliance.
Family Alliance, thank you.
Yeah.
And when we did the fax broadcasting for the Republican Party, we did fax broadcasting for him. That's when the faxes were making money.
Yeah.
But now that's when I was doing business with you too for a short time.
Times have changed. Technology has changed quite a bit, hasn't it, Don?
It has.
Yep.
So love Gary though.
All right, man.
I would vote for him no matter how many times he was there, even though I liked him saying he was going to be term limited, but still, like Gary, I'd rather keep you in there than anybody else.
Big Gary fan. Thank you, Don. Appreciate it, buddy. All right, man. I'm just rushing Don a little bit because I am just flat out of time. I hit the wrong button, AJ. I'm so tired. I turned me off instead of Don. It's been a show today.
It has.
Douglas Cooling and Heating next up. Y'all, I appreciate those guys being with us all these years. We finally got some summertime feeling weather this weekend, and I kind of like it kind of done. I like it at night when it's warm, but I am sweating. I've got so much stuff to do this month. Douglas keeps me cool. They do. They're going to be doing an additional unit on the house. We're doing some work, some renovation. It's going to require some more capacity. And I can't wait because I know those guys are going to put it in right, and they're going to make sure all the service works up to date. That is really, 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 really important. Douglas is who I trust for that. CallDouglas.com, CALL, CallDouglas.com. All right, we had 2 big spot stories today in addition to the election stuff, one of which was this weird incident outside a Islamic center in San Diego We still don't have a good fix on it, but apparently it involved two teenagers shooting at some people at the Islamic Center. Um, Three of the people that were in the area died. The two teenagers that were the shooters were, quote, neutralized. There's some reporting that they shot themselves. We just don't know. We don't have any clarity on that. The immediate thought is the Islamic Center was targeted because it's an Islamic center, but we also don't know that for sure because it could have been something within their world that went wrong. Those things happen. Maybe we'll have some clarity on that this evening and tomorrow. Crazy night. Pray for the folks out in Simi Valley, California as well. That whole area is going up in flames, hauntingly reminiscent of the Palisades fire, and we hope it doesn't grow to those proportions. California's got their hands full with the fires again this year. One more time for Southern Skies Dermatology. Speaking of outdoors and sun and summertime, we need to all have a baseline. Tell that to your neighbors, tell that to your friends, tell that to your mama. We all need a baseline when it comes to skin cancer to know where you're starting. That means just an initial exam. You may be good to go. You may be a frequent flyer. Let them assess that. They're the trained eyes. This is all they do is find it and remove it and save lives. SouthernSkiesDermatology.com. SouthernSkiesDermatology.com. Leland Live, Talk 99.5. Stay tuned for Breaking Bread.
Goodbye, AJ.